watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. I am Sosan Ali and here are tonight's main headlines. In the closing session of the 18th G20 summit, the Sultanate of Oman emphasizes on the utmost importance of joint action to build the future of the human civilization. His Highness Sayyid As'ad bin Tariq Al Saeed stresses on the Sultanate of Oman's welcome of the efforts that seek to define the global skills map. The voting for Shura Council members' election for the 10th term from inside and outside the Sultanate of Oman is specified to be on 22nd and 29th of October 2023. And the OQ Group achieves net revenues worth over $1.1 billion and records assets of more than $31.2 billion during the first half of this year. Those were the headlines. Now for the news in detail. Representing His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq, His Highness Sayyid As'ad bin Tariq Al Saeed, Deputy Prime Minister for International Relations and Cooperation Affairs and Special Representative of His Majesty the Sultan, chaired the delegation of the Sultanate of Oman in the closing session of the 18th G20 summit, which was held in the Indian capital, New Delhi. His Highness delivered a speech at the closing session of the summit in which he touched on the Sultanate of Oman's emphasis on the utmost importance of joint action and its agreement with the Indian presidency vision of building one future for human civilization, especially in light of the challenges expected to be faced in the coming years. His Highness expressed the Sultanate of Oman's welcome of the remarkable efforts made through many tracks that seek to define the global skills map and reduce the inherent gap between it and the requirements of the labor market. His Highness pointed out that digital infrastructure and dedicating it to serve everyone will play an important role in achieving sustainable economic growth. His Highness appreciated the invitation of the Republic of India for the Sultanate of Oman to participate in the summit, which is an indication of the deep relations between the two friendly countries. He congratulated the Republic of India on the successful landing on the moon, which represents a major achievement and a turning point towards a promising future. His Highness also congratulated the African Union on its membership in the G20, and at the end of his speech, he expressed the best wishes of the Sultanate of Oman to the government of Brazil on assuming the presidency for the next session of the G20 meetings. Prior to the closing session of the 18th G20 summit, which was held in the Indian capital, New Delhi, His Highness Sayyid As'ad bin Tariq Al Saeed, Deputy Prime Minister for International Relations and Cooperation Affairs and Special Representative of His Majesty the Sultan, and other heads of delegations participating in the summit, paid a visit to the memorial of Mahatma Gandhi in the capital city of India, New Delhi, and placed flowers on the memorial. His Highness Sayyid As'ad bin Tariq Al Saeed, Deputy Prime Minister for International Relations and Cooperation Affairs and Special Representative of His Majesty the Sultan, returned to the country this afternoon after leading the Sultanate of Oman's delegation participating in the G20 summit hosted by the Indian capital, New Delhi. Upon his return, His Highness was received by His Excellency Dr. Abdullah bin Nasser Al Harrasi, Minister of Information, His Excellency Salim bin Mohammed Al Mahrouqi, Minister of Heritage and Tourism, His Excellency Dr. Mohammed bin Saeed Al Ma'mari, Minister of Endowments and Religious Affairs, His Excellency Amit Naranj, Ambassador of the Republic of India to the Sultanate of Oman, and His Excellency Saif bin Muhammad Al Abri, Secretary General at the Office of His Highness Sayyid As'ad. Earlier, His Highness Sayyid As'ad bin Tariq Al Saeed, Deputy Prime Minister for International Relations and Cooperation Affairs and Special Representative of His Majesty the Sultan, left the Indian capital New Delhi after participating in the G20 summit. Upon his departure, His Highness was seen off by His Excellency Kailash Chowdhury, the Minister of Agriculture and Farmers' Welfare, His Excellency Isa bin Saleh Al-Shaybani, Ambassador of the Sultanate of Oman to India, and a number of officials from the Government of India. His Highness Sayyid As'ad was accompanied by an official delegation comprising His Excellency Sayyid Badr bin Hamad Al Busaidi, Foreign Minister, His Excellency Dr. Saeed bin Muhammad Al Saqri, Minister of Economy, His Excellency Qais bin Muhammad Al Yusuf, Minister of Commerce, Industry and Investment Promotion, His Excellency Ambassador Isa bin Saleh Al Shaybani, Ambassador of the Sultanate of Oman, accredited to the Republic of India, Their Excellencies the Advisors of His Highness's Office, and His Excellency Pankaj Kimji, Advisor to the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Investment Promotion for Foreign Trade and International Cooperation. His Excellency Sayyid Hamoud bin Faisal Al Busaidi, Minister of Interior, issued a ministerial decision as follows. Voting from outside the Sultanate of Oman to elect members of Shura Council for the 10th term will be on Sunday, October 22nd, 2023. The decision also stipulates that next Sunday, October 29th, will be the date for voting inside the Sultanate of Oman to elect members of the Shura Council for the 10th term, provided that voting from inside and outside the Sultanate of Oman begins from 8 a.m. and ends at 7 p.m. The OQ Group recorded net profits amounting to $1 billion and $100 million during the first half of this year. More details in the following report.
OQ, the Global Integrated Energy Group, reported earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation and amortization of $2.3 billion for the first half of 2023. Additionally, the group posted a net profit of $1.1 billion and reported total assets amounting to $31.2 billion. OQ achieved an average total production of oil from its operated assets and investment partnerships of 222,000 barrels per day. This represents a 7% increase in production during the first half of this year compared to the same period of last year. Oil production in Block 60 rose to 61,000 barrels of oil equivalent in the first half of 2023, up from 49,000 barrels of oil equivalent in the first half of 2022. Turning to gas operations for the first half of 2023, the availability ratio of OQ's gas network was approximately 99.999% across Omani governorates. OQ's daily natural gas production reached 471 million cubic feet, with 18 million cubic feet from the group-operated assets. Production of OQ's partnership assets reached 454 million cubic feet of gas per day. Within the Refineries and Petrochemicals division, OQ reported an average refinery production of 302,000 barrels per day in the first half of 2023. Additionally, the group's outputs included 595,000 metric tons of polymer, approximately 497,000 metric tons of methanol, 1,016,000 metric tons of aromatics, and 167,000 metric tons of LPG. Furthermore, OQ's expenditure on goods and services totaled to approximately $653 million for the first half of this year. Local expenditure on contracts and procurement made through Omani companies and institutions amounted to roughly $488 million, yielding a retained in-country value of $211.23 million. It's noteworthy to mention that OQ's dedication to economic growth expenditure on small and medium enterprises amounted to approximately $123 million. This sum represents 19% of the total outlay on goods and services, with $34 million allocated specifically to Riyadh card holders, demonstrating commitment to promoting Omani products, where expenditure on items manufactured in the Sultanate of Oman reached approximately $81.9 million.
The Ministry of Endowments and Religious Affairs inaugurated a 3-day forum at the Oman Across Ages Museum in the Wilaya of Manah. The event was presided over by His Excellency Sheikh Abdullah bin Salim Al Salmi, the Executive President of the Capital Market Authority. More details in the following report.
Under the theme Modern Methods in Managing and Distributing Zakat Resources, the Ministry of Endowments and Religious Affairs inaugurated at Oman Across Ages Museum in the Wilaya of Manah the activities of a 3-day forum for the authorities responsible for managing and distributing zakat in the GCC countries.
It is important that we understand the role of the ministry here, that we do not collect zakah, nor do we distribute it, but we empower the community to do so. And we regulate the whole sector. We ensure that there is transparency, there is proper governance, and we could actually track the money and support those within the community, the committees in the community, to effectively, efficiently collect the money, distribute it to those who actually deserve it. This has allowed those in the community who do so to be very innovative, think out of the box, and provide excellent services.
Besides exchanging expertise, scholars and eminent speakers clarify concepts related to zakat and its legal limits and share their insights on understanding the systems and laws for zakat management and its governance, as well as challenges, difficulties, and solutions to develop work in the field of zakat.
And tax authority, we are coming to this forum to introduce ourselves, introduce the tax authority, the goals, our specialists. In addition to that, we are going to introduce the tax system in Oman. And at the end, we are going to link the treatment of zakat in the tax laws in Oman to show that society how they can benefit by deducting the zakat as allowable expenses by the tax laws.
The accompanying exhibition features 17 corners for different zakat committees from various wilayas of the Sultanate of Oman, showcasing their efforts and pioneering roles in the effective distribution of zakat, charity, and endowments. Harnessing modern means in managing and distributing zakat resources not only contributes to attaining sustainable financing, but will also boost the overall well-being of society. From Oman Across Ages Museum in the Wilaya of Manah, صالح بخلفان الرحبي الداخلية Governorate.
His Excellency Dr. Abdullah bin Ali Al Amri, the Chairman of the Environment Authority, chaired the 43rd meeting of the Undersecretaries responsible for environmental affairs in the GCC countries. More details in the following report.
The Sultanate of Oman, represented by the Environment Authority, chaired the 43rd meeting of GCC Undersecretaries responsible for environmental affairs in the Wilaya of Al Jabal Al Akhdar in Dakhiliya Governorate.
We have discussed 18 items, most of them focusing on the environmental issues and the climate change issues, and also coordinating the positions of the GCC countries in order to go forward with one agreed direction. Among of the discussing items, we have go through the preparing for the COP28, which will be hosted in the UAE, and also the desertification COP16, which will be hosted in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia coming year. This meeting is preparing for the tomorrow meeting, which is the ministerial meeting. We'll discuss and take the decisions on all these items.
The meeting agenda featured discussions on several environmental issues, the most important of which was the decision of the Supreme Council regarding the environmental orientations of the GCC countries 2020.
This meeting is, as you know, it is convened every year at the level of undersecretaries and later on at level of His Excellency's ministers to coordinate between each, to coordinate our positions in different important issues that are transboundary in their nature, environmental issues, of course, and to strategize and put programs to achieve our goals at the national level and regional level.
It is worth mentioning that many achievements have been attained during the blessed journey of the Gulf Cooperation Council in all fields, especially with regard to human and environmental affairs, as the GCC countries have taken diligent steps in the field of joint environmental cooperation due to its great importance to human health and safety.
The Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Investment Promotion issued a ministerial decision regarding the regulatory framework for e-commerce and its regulation in the Sultanate of Oman. The regulation stipulates that obtaining a license is required to engage in the e-commerce. It sets out a number of conditions for obtaining the license for individuals who do not have a commercial registration. Commercial companies are also required to obtain a license provided that they registered in the commercial registry. Non-Omanis can also engage in e-commerce in accordance with the provisions of the Foreign Capital Investment Law. Still to come in our news bulletin. The Environment Authority organizes underwater cleaning campaign in the Wilaya of Sur to clean up the fishing port. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. In its second consecutive week, the National Program for Zero Neutrality continues the agenda of the series of sessions on sector plans to reach zero neutrality target 2030. The government of the Sultanate of Oman seeks to improve environmental performance, reduce the effects of climate change, and adopt 2050 as its year of zero neutrality. The series of sessions aims to follow up and implement the national strategy for the orderly transition to zero neutrality in an effect to reach unified implementation on plan with the addition of several projects to achieve the interim targets. The sessions in the second week will also discuss the definition of the transport and information technology sector, the targets to reach zero neutrality, the facts, initiatives and projects in force in the sector, and the most prominent challenges and potentials required. They also include many workshops for work mechanisms to solve challenges and provide all possibilities to reach the Sultanate of Oman's goal of zero emissions by 2050. The Board of Directors of Oman Development Bank, ODB, approved the funding of 4 projects in the sectors of converting industries and food security to the tune of 10.2 million Omani riyals. This came during the board's 6th meeting for 2023, which was held under the chairmanship of Engineer Mohammed Abu Bakr Al-Ghassani, chairman of the Board of Directors of ODB. The projects will also boost growth in promising economic sectors. The third edition of the 6th Carbon Program concluded in the Governorate of Muscat after including a number of workshops that focused on the concept of circular economy and building models for sustainable work that take into consideration the environmental and social influence. The program comes within the project to support the initiatives by the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Youth. The 6-week program aimed to enhance the skills of the participants as well as to highlight their ideas in the field of circular economy, as well as achieving zero carbon neutrality. With the participation of several volunteering divers, the Environment Authority organized an underwater cleaning campaign in the Wilaya of Sur to clean up the fishing port. This campaign comes as part of the various initiatives that the authority organizes to maintain the maritime environment across the Sultanate of Oman. More details in the following report.
15 members of a volunteer diving team and other volunteers collaborated and dedicated their efforts to remove marine waste, such as abandoned fishing nets from coral reefs, as part of a cleanup campaign. This campaign took place in the fishing port in Wilaya of Sur. The process of removing these wastes from underwater takes tremendous efforts and time, as most of them are stuck in and among the coral reefs, and makes it very difficult to remove them without harming the coral reefs. Over 2,000 kilograms of waste were removed, including tires, fishing nets, and other random wastes. These wastes can directly or indirectly harm various maritime creatures. Sultan bin Saif al-Sara'i from South الشرقية Governorate, Wilaya of Sur.
This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here's a recap of our main points. In the closing session of the 18th G20 Summit, the Sultanate of Oman emphasizes on the utmost importance of joint action to build the future of the human civilization. His Highness Sayyid As'ad bin Tariq Al Saeed stresses on the Sultanate of Oman's welcome of the efforts that seek to define the global skills map. The voting for Shura Council members' elections for the 10th term from inside and outside the Sultanate of Oman is specified to be on 22nd and 29th of October 2023. And the OQ Group achieves net revenues worth over $1.1 billion and records assets of more than $31.2 billion during the first half of this year. With that, we come to the end of tonight's bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night, and until next time.